Hi, chat. How's everybody doing? Sorry. That's all Hella's fault. I was busy. Um, now use myopia in a sentence. Yeah, like I said, I remember when I got a word a day calendar too. So Leighton found a substance that hasn't been tested. Well, yeah. Well, we'll see here. We'll see. Was I too busy playing in the snow? Yes. Was that a long walk from the bathroom? No. We waited patiently. Thank you. Is this myopia late? Yes. Guys, I'm sorry. I was reading a bunch of scientific journals, so I'm now learned up on something. That was the thing. Although you really have to wonder, was he actually reading the entire scientific papers or was he reading abstracts? And does he know the difference? Something to think about. Does he know the difference? I also wonder where you get the myopia thing. It's like the myopia of poverty. It's like myopia of cringe. Those are the real myopias we have to worry about. So benzolecconine. Nick, benzolecconine. Just saying here. Just saying. Anyways, guys, we're here for Richard Allen. And yes, a lot's happened since we talked last. Quite a bit, actually, guys. And I don't joke when I say that. A lot has happened, and overall, I mean, it shouldn't surprise you what's happened. And we'll start off by going through his. The myopia of poverty sounds incredibly out of touch. Yeah, well, I mean, remember, he's trying to explain, like, you don't understand what it's like. And the funny thing is, I don't think Nick understood this. When the CPS people said, like, we've never dealt with somebody in your socioeconomic status, that should have been embarrassing as fuck. Because people who can afford to, like, feed their kids and they could have, like, responsible fucking people don't do what you do. That's why they were surprised, because most people would be fucking never caught dead acting like you. That's the difference. Nick cries out in pain as he strikes you. He can't strike hard anyway. No need to do push-ups. It's like, Nick, you need to fucking do push-ups. You worried about fucking me, homie? Yeah. Badger witnesses, whoa, they said that. I didn't catch that. Yeah, when Nick was talking to Dick, they were talking all about it. So, anyways, let's get into this. Richard Allen has been through a lot, guys. And if you guys are new and you don't remember, Richard Allen is accused of murdering 2 girls out in Delphi, Indiana, and the murders happened out in 2017. And in 2022, he was arrested and charged for the murders because he was a fucking idiot and talked to the police by himself. And that's really why he's in trouble. He has been held in detention the entire time. Since then, and immediately upon his arrest, the sheriff for Carroll County said, I can't protect him. It's a safety issue. So he was immediately transferred to the Indiana Department of Corrections for safekeeping. He was in a prison situation, so they can't put him in with the inmates because he hasn't been convicted. He's basically been in solitary confinement for 2 years. He was stuck around a bunch of prison guards who were avowed homosexuals in Odinist. And things got really bad for him. He suffered a lot of psychological trauma to the point he was eating shit, among other things. And yeah, that's where we were. Judge Gull, also, if you guys do remember, at one point, she voluntarily kicked the attorneys representing him, Brad Rosie and Andrew Baldwin, off the case. And Richard Allen had to get other attorneys to volunteer to help him to petition the Indiana Supreme Court to get his attorneys back. And the Indiana Supreme Court bitch slapped Judge Cole and said, you can't do that. The attorneys are back on. So, we've been dealing with this now for a while. We've been dealing with this for a while now. And we've learned a lot of things that have happened. In addition to that, Judge Gull has made them when attorneys, they've tried to recuse her and tried to get her removed, but it hasn't happened yet. And I still don't understand how they can't get rid of her. She admitted to interfering with subpoenas being served on prisoners. She's did a lot of things. So, just absolute fucking garbage what she's done. It's just absolute garbage. So, let's start off with the biggest things here. Yes, in Indiana, Delphi, Indiana. I can say Odin is homosexual and Odin is redundant. 4M is good to see you. It's been a little while. Hope you're doing really well. It's saying, so I hope the eating... Oh, you're saying, so the eating shit is real. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. Like, little eating shit. We're going to get to it, guys. We're going to get to it. We have psychologist notes that have been released and have been put together. Oh, she didn't admit to that. She said sheriff lied. I know, and the sheriff's like, I didn't do it. So, someone did it. Jim, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Like Shooter McGavin style? Yeah, but I think it was probably not just for breakfast. I thought it was probably for lunch and dinner. Anyway, we're going to get to it, but let's get to what happened here. Oh, Pocahontas, you're here? And Badger Witness, it's irrelevant whether they're probably using grow charts. My kids are half Asian and are way below the 50th percentile in weight, but they maintain their same percentile. That's the point. Well, yeah, and those charts aren't really helpful. I mean, as long as you're meeting developmental milestones, that's really the biggest thing. So let's get to the journal entries because this is how Judge Gold does her thing. So we start off on August 1st because they had a hearing at the end of July, and it went. They had a multi-day hearing. Went from July 30th till August. What day did they do here? July 30th till August 2nd was the thing. So first of all, what do we know? Richard Allen is out of prison. That's the good news. Let me see if I can draw on this now. Okay, we can't draw on it. So we're just going to zoom in on it. So in the meantime, they have filed multiple motions to recuse. She has denied them all. The Supreme Court, everybody else has denied everything. So Richard Allen stuck with Judge Gull for now. But August 1st, and it says the court, having had defendant's motion to vacate the safekeeping order under advisement, and having considered all the evidence and assignments, arguments of counsel, now grants defendant's motion to vacate the safekeeping order and remands the defendant back to the custody of the sheriff of Carroll County. Now, did she do this? Yes, and I think she did this tactically to say, look, I'm being impartial. I granted some of their most important motions. So, the court does notify counsel, the sheriff of Carroll County, and the Department of Corrections of his change of status. So Richard Allen is now being kept at the Cass County Jail. Cass County is the county to the north of Carroll County. It's where Bradley Rosie, his office is out of. In fact, his office is right next to the jail. So instead of driving for 2 hours, he can go see Richard Allen right away. It's a safer environment. And the funny thing is, the Cass County Sheriff, from the beginning, agreed to take Richard Allen. And I will say that is a monumental thing Bradley Rosie was able to do. That he's got, and you guys might think like part of being a defense attorney is like saying fuck off to everybody who's not a defense attorney. No. You develop connections, you know people, you make You know, it's a small community anyway, so you're on good terms with the sheriff. Things like this happen, you can approach them and say, "Can you help me with a client?" And this sheriff was like, "You know what? Hell yeah, I'm gonna do that." Um, James Reed says, "What did this guy do? He's accused of murdering two 13-year-old girls in Indiana back in 2017. So that's why. That's why he's in jail. So yes, he's in a better environment. He's in an environment that's safer. There's none of these homosexual odinist guards around. None of that you have to worry about. They don't make him wear the baldo there at the jail. So that happened. So what we ended up hearing, though, there's a bunch of things that happened. We also learned prior to the commencement of the proceedings, the defendant withdrew his motion to suppress second accused second statement. So they withdrew that. We're going to go back to covering that because I have access to the Google Drive of everything that's been filed so far. There's an entire Google Drive of it. And that should be something, and we'll cover that because you guys might be like, well, which one is that? And where is, hold on here. So that's what's happened there. We have other things to cover, though. So there was a defendant's motion. They heard all of it: the safekeeping order, the motion to compel, the motion for sanctions. The second motion dismissed based upon newly discovered evidence and or missing an exculpatory potentially useful evidence. As we remember, there were problems in this case. Remember, yeah, just murder, no sexual assaults, just murders. The charges are kidnapping and murder. And right now it's just murder. They dismissed the kidnapping charges. It's just murder. No sexual assault. It's a very fucking weird case, guys. So anyway, if you guys have been following along with us for a while, the police admit, oh yeah, we had an entire hard drive full of interviews of people we interviewed at the beginning, including the boyfriend of one of the girls who died and her parents. Those are gone. His friends, who were all Odinist, are gone. Sorry. Other evidence has been drip fed from the state and that they've manipulated and adulterated things, possibly. There have been a lot of problems with the evidence in this case, guys. Nope, they were not sexually assaulted. Vinelink has Richard Matthew Allen as black. Well, there are more than one Richard Allen. That's an issue too. Because if you Google in the My Case thing, there could be other Richard Allens out there. So just be careful about that. But see, now we should rally the community that a poor black man's being attacked. So everything was taken under advisement, and we get to some problems here. So the court's setting a status hearing for August 23rd at 1 p.m. The first portion is closed to the public, which I think is bullshit. The second will be open to the public. So this week, guys. So here we go. Now, you remember, guys, there were multiple Franks notices, and that's Delaware v. Franks, that Richard Allen is pointing out the state has withheld and hid evidence, and for that they must be punished and dismiss the case. Okay, so here's where we are. The first and second Franks were already denied. And remember, when Judge Gull had those, she had to catch up, and out of nowhere, she just wrote, I deny it. Well, after having the hearing, finally having a hearing on these motions. Remember, because before, Richard Allen's team sent in motions, and the judge would just deny shit without a hearing. And she would do it like this. She wouldn't write a response. She denies the third request without a hearing. The court finds the affidavit submitted in response to the support of the search warrant contained a reasonable belief that the evidence for the murders would be found in Richard Allen's home. She believes that because the prosecutor said so, there were no false statements, nor did the affidavit amid statutes with reckless disregard. The court does not find that the police intended to mislead the judge by failing to present relevant information. So the judge is ignoring stuff. Then we have the fourth Franks motion, and this was based on newly discovered evidence. I mean, we've got all these issues, and the judge is just denying them. She now denies the same without a hearing. And she says the trial court is obligated to conduct a Franks hearing only if the defendant makes a preliminary showing the affiant knowingly or intentionally or with reckless disregard for the truth included a false statement in the search warrant, and that the allegedly false statement was necessary to a finding of probable cause. The defense has not made such a preliminary showing and therefore is not entitled to a Franks hearing. Remember, Judge Gull, Frances Gull, never found a denial she liked. She demanded a Franks motion. Yep. Yeah, this is... Did he do it? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. Sandler says sexually motivated. There were no sexual motivations they could find. Demon's Wrath says, what is going on in this case? Why has everything gone sideways? Dude, this thing went sideways from the start. Because you have incompetent and lazy police who fucked up a cold case, and then they arrested the first guy they could get to make it stick. So it's a bunch of bullshit. Oh, Badger saying like a kid going from 90th to 50th. The way I shortened the character account was unclear. Okay, I thought that's where you were kind of going. Why did she kick the original defense attorneys off the case? Because Frances Gull's an absolute piece of fucking shit for a judge. That's why. Because she's a piece of shit. And then the funny thing is, the Indiana Supreme Court had to come in and go, can't do that. They're back on. So, Bubble Buddha Belly saying, but the one girl was wearing the other girl's clothes. How is there not SA? They haven't alleged SA at all. There's no indication of any of that. So, yeah, she's guilty of judicial abuse. The funny part is she is denied all media access, yet she was part of a task force of judges who developed a recommendation that courts should allow more camera access. And it's funny because it's like her and Nick are BFFs now in their policies. Maybe her and Nick were like, she helped Nick write the motion. Maybe. Yeah, she makes Auntie Bev look legit. I agree. You think Auntie Bev is bad? Let me show you a really bad judge. So we've gotten more things to talk about what she has done since there. So she denied the Franks motions. All right. And we're catching up, guys. We're catching up to today. So, having taken the motion to compel and motion for sanctions under advisement, she now denies the motion to compel and motion for sanctions as the defendant has failed to comply, seeking an informal resolution of the discovery disputes. However, the court will order the state to turn over Sergeant Cecil's report within 10 days of the date of this order, and that any new discovery be provided within 7 days of the prosecutor receiving it. The court further orders the parties to exchange a list of trial exhibits by October 1st. More things came out. The court, having decided the defendant's second motion dismissed based upon newly discovered destroyed and/or exculpatory evidence, She reviewed the exhibits submitted in the arguments and finds the law is against the defendant. Imagine that. Denied again. No evidence has been presented that the state destroyed exculpatory evidence, nor the state acted in bad faith. The defense argues that this alleged exculpatory evidence all relates to one person, Brad Holder. However, no evidence is presented to support this argument, nor has any evidence been presented to negate the evidence offered by the state, which cleared Brad Holder of involvement in those crimes. How did they do that if all the evidence was destroyed? How did they do that if all the evidence was destroyed? How? 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 How can they make that statement if there's evidence missing? Therefore, the second motion to dismiss is denied as unsupported by the law and evidence. And then we're there, guys. There's a status hearing. For now, that's it. And then jury trial October 14th. And it is set for quite a while. It runs to 1 month. Yay. Now, there are some things we can go back through and take a look at. Let me see here. What is... Now, we're going to do the second statement. Why is this not downloading? I already downloaded it. Oh, there we go. All right. So let's start with the second statement. Actually, before we get to that, we're going to share this. These are Richard Allen's psychologist notes from when he was stuck in the jail. These have been obviously somebody's kind of done their own organizing of things. And we start off with the first thing here. 3/28, he tells the doctor, I don't feel right. April Fool's Day, he's placed back on suicide watch. And he has to wear the suicide smock. If you guys haven't ever seen those, a suicide smock is basically a big Velcro blanket that you can kind of wear. This is a suicide smock, chat, if you've never seen one. It's because you can't hang yourself with it. It's basically a moving blanket you can't tear apart. On top of that, you get hard blankets. One way to do it is give you a blanket you can't do anything with, or you get a paper blanket. You're left in your cell, the lights are always on, they never turn them off, and basically somebody watches you all the time. So, that would make me crazy. Suicide Smock's my band name, yeah. That made me crazy. Well, Lois, that's what it's meant to do. All right. So we'll get back to the notes. On the defense files an emergency safekeeping motion. They observed a steep decline in demeanor and psychotic symptoms, and they did. Richard Allen was fucking losing his shit, so they had to get involved. Dr. Walla notes that he's poor and critical. He's deteriorating. He has suicidal ideations. He has delusions. He states death would bring relief, insomnia, hopelessness. The pic of Richard Allen taken in thin/filthy clothes was taken. More critical, self-harming. Taking a running start in a cell, crashing his head into the concrete. They held him down and gave him Haldol to sedate him. By the 14th, there's a grave disability. He's covering himself in shit and eating it. They had a hearing to determine if involuntary medication was needed. And if he should be transferred to a facility with a mental hospital. And they had to start involuntary meds. They did weekly Haldol and nightly oral Haldol. Haldol fucking knocks people out. Nick is the prosecutor, Nick McClellan. He files a response to the defense stating a hearing was held on the 14th, where it's determined Rick did not need involuntary meds nor a move. They state that Richard Allen's eating otherwise improving. Yeah, well, he's got disjointed thoughts still going downhill and has had a conversation related to competency about standing trial. By the end of April, they have inmate suicide companions who are basically replaced with the DOC guards. By the beginning of May, he tells the doctor, "I want to confess." The guards tased his hands. He had disorganized thinking. He had gone into a vegetative state. He's having a psychotic reaction to stress. The guards tased his hands again. You know, he's suffering from trembling, stuttering, knees buckling, eyes bulging. There were some signs of restoration in June when the public saw him, when he was like, people knew he was still alive. He's back to proclaiming his innocence, but he states, "I've already been sentenced." Yeah. Yeah, Haldol's an antipsychotic. It is. Yes, knees weak, arms are heavy. You can't wear your suicide Spock, and they don't give you spaghetti. Are suicide companions normal inmates or others on suicide watch? LCW. They are other inmates, basically like inmate trustees, basically sit there to watch you. Yes, not turning up the lights falls under international torture standards, because that's what we would use to people in Guantanamo Bay, like Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and those guys at Gitmo. Yeah, you're like, they'll play Metallica, but they also leave the lights on all night. It is a form of psychological intimidation and torture. LCW archives, though. We're gonna move on to the next thing here, but we got LCW archives saying, "Hey, Sean, been watching for a while. I start law school tomorrow. Good luck. Congrats. Wondering if you have any advice other than don't wear the ball, though. Thanks for the content." I've said it before and I said it again. Study. You are not the smartest person there. And this is something I had to learn. And I'm not joking. When I was in undergrad, I was the type of guy, I'd take like also, by the way, guys, Topo Chico, they do hard seltzer now. It's really good. It's really good. Good flavors. Not as good as White Claw, but I thought I'd give them a shot because they were available at the drive-thru. But like, I was the type of guy where I'd have my notebook and I go like this before finals. Like, I'd show up like an hour before the final and go like, "All right, let's go." And I'd take the final. I didn't hang out with the kids who did study groups and shit like that because I understood it. I was like, I'm not dumb enough to need outlines and note cards. And it was true. I did really good as an undergrad. I took that same strategy to law school and I got my fucking ass kicked really bad. Really, really fucking bad. Like, I, you know, in most law schools, they boot you if you go below a 2. And I, after my first year, was at a 2.01 because I didn't understand how to go to law school. I was still figuring it out. After that, I had to kick ass. And then I went from that to graduating with a 3.1. Like, it took a lot of fucking work to get to that point. I mean, so don't get behind like that. Everybody there is smart. Okay? You're all pretty smart. You're all pretty sharp. So you can't just like breeze by them. The other thing I would tell you is just really, learn how to outline. And I've said it before, Microsoft OneNote's probably the best thing you can use to do this with. And I just think it's so valuable of a tool. If you can download it, I would highly recommend it because let me show you here. I've said it before on here, but I just need to say it again. I can't stress it enough. This is amazing. So like, this is OneNote. You can type over here. I can blah, 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 blah. I can go down here, blah, 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 blah. I can go over here, blah, 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 blah. And then I can take like arrows while I'm working, and you can take like a pen and you can circle that, you can underline, you can come here and you can highlight shit, or you can highlight it as you're typing out text. You can do like the normal highlighting like you're in Word. You can erase stuff. You can, and then you can, but like I can draw arrows like see this and then come back to this. And you can go forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. And basically your notes, your outline is just one, like your notes turn into an outline. You just keep adding to your notes as you go. And that way, like when your professor's asking you questions, you can immediately scroll back up. Oh, I know that. And you could tie things together instead of having like in a separate Word file every time or a separate page in a notebook. You see it all as one thing. That's really my only real advice. The other one too is, I mean, really, if you ever need, ever have questions or whatever, potentiallycriminal@gmail.com. I'd be happy to talk you through it or talk you off the ledge. I mean, I remember what it was like at first. Just keep your nose to the grindstone and out of the pills. Is really, as Tyler Childers would say. Just keep at it. But good luck. Good luck, man. I just keep at it. Alice is saying, I saw a true crime video on Alan. Some commenter said, I'm so happy someone got arrested for this. The implications of that are truly sickening. That is very scary. It is very, very fucking scary. Very scary. It's very scary. It's those things are terrifying that happens. So it's just it's all a mess. It's all a mess. So and it's a very scary thing. It's a very, very scary thing there. And then Unknown Hero says, Odinus and Scandinavian prudes are two sides of the same coin. Yes. Yes, that's yeah. And that's a shame says, that's what I said too. What's the point of going through all that trouble if you're not going to essay them? Just seems like a waste, to be honest. Yeah, like I said, it doesn't make any sense. But it happened. So it sounds very ritualistic, but a lot of ritualistic things involve, sexual assault. So yeah. Oh, Jeff says, what's Haldol? All right. Well, Haldol and not Halon, because Halon is a fire suppressant. And I know somebody already mentions the antipsychotic, but we need to catch this up. We all need to get learned here. It is a antipsychotic managed to treat schizophrenia and other things. It's a very important thing here. You can use it to treat schizophrenia and schizoaffective disorder. You can use it to treat Tourette syndrome. It's serious firepower when you're on Haldol, they're rolling out the big guns. You're up to that's lithium isn't working right. Oh, and Gene's saying if you're on suicide watch, you get underwear. Nope. You could hang with underwear. You could hang yourself with a set of underwear. So no, you don't get briefs in that situation. Yeah. So Bella says you got humbled. Oh, LCW said I gotta keep a 3.0 to keep my scholarship. Yeah, well, there you go, man. Just keep at it. Good luck. Oh, I got humbled. Well, Bella, I got a lot of things, but yes, I got very humbled. And I had to learn. And it was tough because I didn't know how to learn. I didn't have to. Hella says, you mean actually outline? Yes. Um, Oh yeah, that's the other thing too. If you're in law school, be careful. Be careful. People, like, if you're studying with people and you've got like the bomb ass notes, people will take your shit. People will stab you in the back. You know, people are learning how to be sharks, so they will attack. Nate says, "Don't dwell on it, Sean. It's meant to demoralize." What, my grades? No, it's what happened. I had to learn. I think it's a very important thing. It keeps me honest now, especially looking back at it. Um, don't snort Haldol. Yeah, don't do that. She says, "No, not necessarily. That would have never happened in my class." Yeah, and you know what? You might be right, but it all depends where you're going. I don't know where you're going, but just be careful. Make friends. Just make sure people aren't going to stab you in the face. So, and also you're gonna freak yourself out because you're gonna sit there and think, oh, that person's an idiot sitting next, like, up front of you, and they seem to be getting it. So you're like, oh my god, what am I not getting? Don't freak yourself out. They might be idiots and not understand. So, oh, Miku says um my fall semester of hell starts tomorrow. I have HR, marketing, microeconomics, and accounting this semester. Ew. Yeah, that does not sound fun. That does not sound fun. Young, we'll get to this question later at the end of the night. All right. So that's what Halidol is, guys. It's a very serious drug. It's a hail of a drug. So now with that there, we're going to move on to this motion to suppress his second statements. Okay. So these were statements made in this interrogation by Jerry Holman, Glory Holman, because he probably goes to the truck stop and runs a glory hole. Because he failed to read Rick Allen his Miranda rights while yelling and swearing at Richard Allen, lying to Rick Allen, and attempting to intimidate Rick Allen behind a closed door in a tiny interrogation room at the Lafayette police post. A key portion of the videotaped interrogation is missing. The missing portion of this video is the beginning when he should have had his Miranda rights read. Now, that's the part of this we're looking at. Now, does that mean that's going to be sticking around? But remember, if you guys don't remember this, this is what happened. So, this is the one they dismissed. This is the one the defense let go. Now, with all of that being said, where are we now with things in the case? Well, a motion was just recently filed by Richard Allen's team, and this is going to be very critical for them. And this is going to be this is the issue of third-party liability. And why is this important? Because the state put a motion in limine together. And where did they put it? I thought I had it out already. I missed it. Okay, hold on here. April 29th. Okay, that's where it was. I thought I missed it. That's a neat thing. If you're ever reading legal stuff and you're not sure where to go, Read the motion because it'll give you the dates. Because you always indicate, I'm responding to this motion. I'm responding to this motion. And we have a motion in limine filed. I think we already covered this one, but we're going to do it again because it does worth and bear repeating. This is a motion in limine filed by the prosecutor's office. And a motion in limine is just a pretrial attempt to exclude things from being introduced on the record. So this is from April 29th. And they request that the court enter an order pretending the defendant or his counsels to refrain from mentioning in the presence of the jury during voir dire opening argument, the presentation of evidence, a closing argument, basically the entire trial, any and all references to either of these. Any comments about counsel for the state that constitute a personal attack on the prosecutor for the state, or comments on the role of the state's attorney. Any comments which constitute the personal opinion of defense counsel about any evidence, witness, or outcome or penalty. So, for instance, the defense counsel cannot vouch for truthfulness or competency of any state's witnesses, including police officers or any of his own witnesses. That's interesting. Don't believe him. He's a liar. They don't want you to say that. Why? Oh, no. Why can't we talk about that? Badger says, I'm using this chat. Y'all are fun. Well, thank you for being here. Are they trying to suppress the fucked over interrogation? Remember, they withdrew that. They gave up on that. The defense passed. And I have the feeling they're better off showing Detective Holman acting like an asshole in front of the jury. So I think that's what happened with that. Because remember, they gave it up. Super Stike is saying, so he didn't admit to his wife over the phone that he murdered him, or is that a false confession? We don't really know because we don't know the timeframes and the context. Remember, the prosecutor has said this has happened. That doesn't mean shit. Like, where is it? Have we heard it? Has anybody heard it? No. The prosecutor has made that comment, but I don't know anything about it. I don't trust them at this point. So, something you have to think about there. But listen to all the things they want to silence the defense from doing. Any innuendo or inference that is not supported by admissible evidence. Any attempt to indoctrinate the jury during voir dire by exposing the jury to a substantive issue in the case. Well, that's kind of like, you should be on top of that anyway. As an attorney, you should be making sure the other side isn't indoctrinating the jury to a theory. Very quickly, you should always be on top of that, because I'll do it and other attorneys will do it. Like, that's normal. Any attempt during voir dire to have the jury prejudge the credibility of a witness. Okay, once again, that's like that's not a like, I agree. Any hypothetical questions that include facts that are not in evidence or questions that are not helpful in violation of Rule 705. How the hell will you know they're not helpful until they're being uttered? Now, this is the big one. Any attempt to introduce evidence of third-party motive that is not relevant and or the probative value is outweighed by unfair prejudice to who? Confusion on the issues, or has the potential to discipline the jury in violation of Rule 401. And he says, before any such evidence could be permitted, the defense must show some connection between the third party and the crime. Further, it must be a direct connection based on admissible evidence and not founded in hearsay. Speculation, rumors, conjecture, or theory. Well, hearsay is evidence. If it's testimony, that's evidence. Oh, wait, he just wants you to do it where it's got to support based on the evidence he gives you. No, that's not how that fucking works. The state requests this order in limine to include but not be limited to the following: Odinism, cult killings, Brad Holder, Patrick Westfall, Johnny Messer, Elvis Fields, Ned Smith, Rod Abrams, Keegan Kline, Jerry Klein, Ron Logan. Interesting, guys. Isn't that interesting? Now, it's funny they mentioned Keegan Kline because who is Keegan Kline? Why won't this close? Huh. Uh-oh. Oh, chat. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Uh-oh. Dr. Coffinills, we're getting to it. Uh-oh. The man who communicated with the Delphi victim before her killing gets 40 years for child pornography. Ah. Okay. So these girls were found dead and they cleared him of the murders, but charged him with a host of other child-related crimes. Okay. Also, here are the two girls, Abby Williams and Libby Germain. Those are the two girls that were murdered. So the guy who actually admits to communicating with these children was sentenced to 40 years in prison for a host of charges unrelated to the murders, including cheese pizza and child exploitation. Kline, who was eventually cleared, acknowledged using Snapchat and talked with Libby while maintaining his innocence in their deaths. Isn't that interesting how that works? Isn't that interesting how that works, chat? Isn't that fucking interesting right there, huh? Wow. No, you can't talk about that guy. Dr. Coffinail says, I live near Delphi, so it's of interest to me. That's what the murderer would say. Dun, dun, dun. Wah, 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 wah. Yeah, so really get your noggin jogging. It's a very suspicious thing. It's very weird. Yeah. So Richard Allen's been charged with it. Yep, that's true. He's been charged. On the hike, Libby shared a photo of Abigail crossing a bridge on Snapchat. Snapchat. Oh, wow, that's interesting. Their bodies are found less than 24 hours later, less than a mile from where they were last seen alive. Yes. As they were investigating this, police uncovered evidence of Kline's child-related crimes, leading to more than a dozen charges, and he had faced 30 charges ultimately. In addition to Anthony's shots account, Kline catfished girls all over the country ages 12 to 18 with the social media account Emily Ann. Oh, yeah, I'm sure he totally didn't do anything illegal. Oh, I'm sure. Well, he can have fun playing hide the spear with the Odinist prison guards. He began catfishing young girls because he's upset that women did not respond to his actual dating profiles. Yeah, I'm sure that's it. It's not just because you're a fucking pedophile. So he amassed more than 100 sexual images and identified a handful of underage victims. Yeah, he pled guilty to 25 charges: child exploitation, solicitation, possession of cheese pizza, identity theft, and obstruction of justice. 43 years in prison with 3 years suspended. Well, that's very benevolent. And he's had 1,429 days behind bars. Yeah. Yep. Yes, Ron Logan is dead. He's one of the people involved in this too. Is this live chat? Yes, it is. Yes. Yes. I'll say this. The noggin status jogged. Anubis saying, I hope the prosecution tells the judge tells the prosecution to get bent. No, she won't. She sucks state dick like it's her job. Judge Gold's will be like, oh, let me help you. Wah, 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 wah. That's how she rolls. All right. So let's see what happened here. Getting back to this. And these are all the people and things they don't want to talk about. Any reference to an investigation conducted by Todd Click, along with any reports or materials from Todd Click that is not relevant or used for the purpose of confusing the issues or potential to mislead the jury. You mean from a retired police officer who was like, oh my God, we did the investigation wrong. We need help. No, we can't use those. Fucking scumbags. The burden is on the opponent to show why it is relevant. Any reference to geofencing and or testimony from Kevin Horn about geofencing or the findings from any geofence search is not relevant or is for the purpose of confusing the jury. Can't talk about the geofencing they did where they put they did geofence searching. And then what? What were the numbers and things associated in that? Well, we don't know. No, you can't talk about that. And the funny thing is, you know who did the geofencing? Ow, that hurt. You know who did the geofencing? The police did. No, you can't talk about what we did, chat. That's not fair. You can't do that. Nope. Yes. Yes, Alex A is like, no, you can't talk about the people who actually killed them. No, stop them, Judge. They're the bad men. Let's see here. Is geofencing what they use to keep Neopets in their cages? Jay Bet says they might be screwing themselves going down the Odinism route. The general public doesn't sound open to it. Remember, though, we are not the public. Like, we are the public. But the public who's going to deal with this case are a bunch of fucking normies. And who knows what they're going to buy or not buy. I mean, they're not going to be thrilled the police were destroying and hiding evidence and hiding things the entire time. So there's a lot of potential issues here. A lot of potential issues. So let's keep moving on here. See, any reference to any prior bad acts or acts of any witnesses that plan to testify at the trial that is not relevant to what the defendant is on trial for. Well, why don't we wait till we see what that is? Specifically state what you think is going to happen here, Nick. And then they say any reference to how the files were labeled or handed over to the defense as part of the information discovery provided to defense counsel by the state that are not relevant or would tend to cause confusion. Well, imagine who got confused. And then this is a very telling one here. Any reference to any PowerPoints provided by the state as executive briefs involving any persons that were investigated by law enforcement as part of the 6-year investigation. So the police put together a bunch of PowerPoints that summarized what they had done and things that had gone, and they're saying, no, you can't talk about our documentation of the case history. Yeah. And they want to prevent this from coming in. Well, the state has come back, or the defense has come back, and this is a banger of a motion. I've read it already. The defense team has a new attorney working for them. I forget what her name is. Oh, what's her name down? Is she written at the bottom? Yes, Jennifer Auger. Holy shit, she did some really good fucking work here. She beat some ass, chat. I was impressed reading this. I read this over the weekend and I was very, very impressed with it. Very, very impressed. So this is the memorandum of support of admission of evidence of alternative theories and third-party perpetrators. So this is attacking the motion in limine. So he has the right under the 6th and 14th Amendments to present evidence attacking the credibility of a prosecution's case. And he does. He has that right. All day long, he has that right. That includes undermining the believability of witnesses, identifying third-party suspects, and establishing a theory of the case. Yes, an alternative theory. To deny this constitutes error. It's true. You have to have a meaningful opportunity to present a complete defense. And he has the right to present his own witnesses to establish a defense. Just like the prosecution gets to do. He has the right to present his own witnesses. When the prosecution seeks to prevent the accused from an opportunity to present other versions or possibilities, they're arguing the trial court to commit not only evidentiary error, but constitutional error, which prejudice is presumed. Exclusion of evidence tending to show that someone other than the accused committed the crime is inconsistent with substantial justice and therefore cannot be deemed harmless error. And that's true. If you have a third party and alternative theory, that is very critical. You can't just do it and ignore it. Alternative theory, did some LGBT person do it? No. You're so funny. You're a funny guy, Sully. You're very funny. Now we talk about what the issues are here, and they point out that at the motion and limine at the hearing, Allen, through his attorneys, presented evidence that the murders of Abby and Libby have ties to Odinism or ritualistic. The prosecution seeks to exclude evidence of third-party motive is not relevant. Okay. And then they talk about all the things that they want to get rid of, and this is the list of everything they did here, although they typed it in a paragraph, which, that drives me crazy. So, and by the way, chat, if you guys were not aware, some of you might be asking, the girls were stabbed. That is information that has come out now. So let's get to it. Under the 6th and 14th Amendments, he is entitled to present evidence. The U.S. Constitution and the Indiana Constitution demand the jury hear all versions and possibilities regarding the alleged crime. For example, here's a great example of this. The defendant was prohibited from introducing a suicide note found near a body and allowing the state to introduce a death certificate stating homicide. Why couldn't you introduce a suicide note near a body? Because the prosecutor doesn't want to lose. The state cannot take advantage of the inculpatory conclusion, but prohibit the defendant from placing the exculpatory conclusion before the jury. And that's true. You can't get it both ways. They put out in this case, the prosecution argues Richard Allen, acting alone, killed both girls. However, the evidence from location where the bodies were found strongly suggests that more than one person was responsible. Former police detective Kevin Murphy testified it was always the belief of law enforcement there were between 2 to 6 people involved in the murders. If the prosecution's argument is that Richard Allen acted alone, and their alternative theories, the murders were committed by more than one person, then who are the additional people involved? The answer is that there are third-party suspects who have not been charged and have no ties to Richard Allen. This leads to the conclusion that Richard Allen is innocent, which he is. He is 100% goddamn innocent. And other individuals acting together killed Abigail Williams and Liberty German. There's a Dr. Don Perlmutter, the director of Symbol Intelligence Group, an adjunct professor of forensic medicine who trains federal, state, and local police, has testified the murders were committed by individuals with ties to racist Odinism, sometimes known as Asatru. Odinism are polytheistic ideologies involving the worship of Nordic pagan gods, including Odin and Thor. So gay. These ideologies are nature-based ideologies, and the rituals generally take place outdoors, incorporate natural elements, and are typically performed near bodies of water. Both ideologies incorporate the use of runes, like moon runes, which are the marks of mysterious magical powers. Runes take on additional powers when charged by blood, or when two or more single runes are coupled together to create a bind rune. That last sentence makes me think like, SS enthusiasts have entered the chat. Oh, I mean, does that count? Like with the two lightning bolts, like the. Is that why the SS was so powerful? Because they had special runes on their collars. Both ideologies incorporate magical thinking. While Odinists have generally shared symbols such as Odin's hammer, they splinter off and form different kindreds. They often develop their own symbols and rituals. The murders of the girls are the elements of ritualistic killing was a textbook killing. The elements of a ritualistic killing include the location of the crime. They're nature-based. They took place outdoors in a clearing in a wooded area near water. That the clearings can be the location of a sacred circle where sacrifices take place. Near a body of water, so water is often used to purify. Rituals of sacrifices take place on important dates. She testified that Valis Blow is a sacrificial feast honoring Odin's son Valis. This begins on the 13th and ends on the 14th. Liberty and Abigail were murdered. They disappeared on the 13th and were found on the 14th. That ritualistic crimes are most often committed by sharp force injury in the neck, and that slitting the throat is indicative of sacrifice and initiation ritual. Both girls were killed in this manner. So there you go. They got their throats slit. That's how we know what happened to them. Guys, we're going to get to where this is done. We'll get to the rest of this real quick here. I know you guys are wondering, well, where were the runes found? I'm like, we're going to get it. Yes. Important dates like April 20th? Yes. The Sweetie Scott runes keep Mr. Medicare alive. Oh. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going here, chat. The murder weapon. Ritualistic crimes are often committed with ceremonial knives. The weapon used to kill the girls is a knife. Ritualistic killings are left at the scene. Often, in this instance, there's what is interpreted as a Laguz rune, painted or transferred to a tree with Liberty German's blood. The tree is located near where the girls' bodies were ultimately found, on the edge of the clearing. And she testified the sticks and branches laid on the bodies appear to be deliberately and intentionally placed in arrangements which would have had meaning to the individuals committing the crime. And then an FBI agent testified that when she was searching the home of Ron Logan, he's now dead, she was looking for evidence of runes and anything Nordic due to the placement of sticks on the girls' bodies. The police and the Indiana State Police and the FBI all provide evidence that the things include the crime scene were supported by Norse paganists. There's a body disposition. That Dr. Pullman testified that in ritualistic killings, bodies are often moved a position that is not in a fashion that is not a counter forensic measure. In other words, the bodies are moved to position in a manner not consistent with someone who is trying to conceal them. She further testified that bodies are often positioned to include the arrangement of objects. They testified that the FBI testified that the bodies had been moved and staged. They also testified that the one body was dragged around the crime scene and that the other was moved from side to side. And they said they believed that the sticks and branches were intentionally placed on the bodies. And another police officer testified the sticks and branches covered maybe 3% of the girls' bodies. He then testified that there were many leaves and sticks in the area which could have been used to conceal the bodies if that was the intent of the killers. And so it sounds like they had a symbol written on them. Dre Buck says, why are they trying to rationalize this? The point is that if multiple people were involved in the killing, Richard Allen couldn't have done it because he would have needed accomplices, and they don't suspect Richard Allen of working with anyone. So, let me see here. So we're going to keep going. Atypical blood pattern. So the blood pattern on Liberty German's face was atypical. This abnormal blood pattern on the face was also identified by the state police. And they point out that he has a right under the 6th and 14th Amendments in Article 1, Section 12 of the Indiana Constitution to present evidence. He has further the right to present evidence flowing therefrom. The individuals who killed the girls were Odinists who were part of ritualistic sacrifice team. You know, he has, once again, under the 14th Amendment and the 6th Amendment, he has the right to cross-examine them on third-party suspects and the failure for them to do their job properly. He has the right to do that. You know, if an investigator discounted a viable fact or suspect, and it could lead to Mr. Allen's innocence, why not? You know, he has the right to impeach the credibility of and present the bias of any witness, including a cop, which is always true. You know, law enforcement, just like everyone, could suffer from confirmation bias and tunnel vision. You know, police may search for evidence that confirms their beliefs. But ultimately, the police failed to properly investigate the third-party suspects and failed to consider alternative theories. In this case, the members of the Unified Command, who are the people in charge of solving it, failed to follow up on the leads of Assistant Police Chief Todd Click and Police Detective Kevin Murphy. Guys have said, oh, we figured some stuff out. They failed to perform an extraction of Brad Holder's phone. They failed to investigate the alibi of Patrick Westfall or Evels Fields. You know, they did not consider any fact that did not fall into their timeline that the girls were murdered between 2:15 and 3:30 on February 13th. They failed to investigate why Liberty's cell phone suddenly connected to the cell phone tower at 4:33 in the morning, after not connecting for nearly 12 hours. Detective Jerry Glory Holman testified there was no evidence that Richard Allen returned to the location where the bodies were found after 3:30. Something happened at 4:30 in the morning that caused her cell phone to turn on. And it's logical to believe whatever caused that was a result of actions taken by somebody. And that's a very fair argument. Something happened. They have to fix, like, someone did it. So, Nico says Jerry Holman. I thought you said Glory Holman. Oh, yeah, no. His name is Detective Jerry Glory Holman. Because he runs glory holes. So he's allowed to be aggressive in his case. And it's bullshit for the prosecutor to cry and hide about it. Now, this is going to be the issue about relevancy here, guys. And it's basically a crash course in evidence here. Evidence is relevant when it has any tendency to make the existence of any fact that is a consequence of the determination of the action more probable or less probable than it would be without the evidence. So, relevant evidence means it helps make it more likely or less likely to prove something occurred or that somebody did something. Evidence which tends to show someone else committed the crime makes it less probable the defendant committed the crime. In order for a defendant to admit evidence that a third party is responsible for the crime, the defendant must show some connection between the third party and the crime. When the state excludes competent and reliable evidence that's central to the case, his constitutional rights to present evidence are abridged. Now, we get to where they would argue stuff here. And they point out that third-party evidence falls well within the category of competent, reliable evidence central to his defense, and that he's innocent and that other people committed the murders. And they point out to people, Brad Holder is the father of Logan Holder, who was Abigail Williams' boyfriend at the time of the murders. Yes, guys, if you're new, that's the neat part about Brad Holder. His son was dating the murder victim. You guys are reading that right. And I got to step away 1 second, chat, but hold on. But yes, his son was the murder victim. His son was the boyfriend of the murder victim. All right, chat. Sorry. Had to go to the piano recital. We're back. Miko's saying you should check Criminality's streams. Yeah, she's been covering this pretty good. I've chatted out to her a couple times. She seems pretty nice. But yeah, they're paying for the transcripts and going through them. But yes, this is a big thing. The father of the dead girl's boyfriend. Nope, we're not investigating that. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. Clyde just made nachos. I wish he did. That'd be good right now. You can put in a good word for me. Sure. If she ever wants to have somebody come on and talk, I'd be happy to. Sonic Family Gaming says, why would the court allow to defend someone who's already been cleared of the crime? Did the police do an effective job at clearing him? No, they didn't even bother getting the guy's cell phone. They didn't do a very good job of clearing people. It appears the investigation was very haphazard and poorly put together. But that doesn't mean anything. If the police clear somebody, that doesn't mean they can't be a suspect. They're allowed to point out things the cops aren't doing right. And if they fucked up a lot of places, it's a valid thing. So that's why they can do that. Law enforcement identified Brad Holder as a suspect 3 days after the bodies were discovered. They received several tips that he was the man in the video found on the cell phone, purportedly taken, and that he's involved in the murders. In the first interview, Brad Holder told officers he never met the girl. In the second interview, Brad Holder claimed he had difficulty remembering which girl Logan dated, despite the fact the girl Logan dated had been involved in a high-profile murder case. In the second interview, Holder now remembered he had supervised one date between Logan and Abby. Brad then told a third different story as to how many times he had met Abby when he was deposed on May 2nd, 2004. In his deposition, Brad claimed he met Abby Williams twice, including once at a third-party suspect's house, Pat Westfall. It's also important to note that Pat Westfall never admitted to the police Abby had been to his house. So I go back to this, Sonic. Does that sound like cleared to you? And I'm not trying to pick on you. But does that sound like they properly did an investigation and they cleared it? I mean, if this is sus as fuck. Very sus. Very fuck. And yes, the defense is allowed to disagree with the police. They're allowed to say, nuh-uh. That's not true. You're allowed to do that. The Reddit on this case is huge. It is. And also, guys, if you ever want the... this is out there. If you guys were ever interested, here's a Google Drive folder with all the Richard Allen docs. You can get access to. Stephen Avery ended up guilty. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But there's enough people who have been found not guilty and victims of shitty investigations that a lot of people who end up getting cleared later. So Richard Allen has a right to have the jury consider the following about Brad Holder's second statement, and whether his second statement and deposition 9 months later, which both provide different accounts, tend to show as a third-party suspect. Whether Holder lied in his first interview. The validity or lack of validity of Brad Holder's initial claim that he never met Abby Williams. The likelihood that in 2023, Brad Holder would not know which of the girls murdered his son dated following the media coverage of the high-profile case. There's a lot of issues here. The likelihood that Holder's ever-changing stories of meeting Abigail Williams, including his last story that he met her twice, including at Pat Westfall's house, is indicative of a man who can't keep his stories straight and only changes his stories because he's unaware of law enforcement evidence of those meetings. Then why would Pat Westfall chose not to tell law enforcement this girl had been to his house? And they point out in the course of the investigation, law enforcement found Brad Holder posted many pictures of runes on Facebook, discussed their symbolism and magic powers. Brad, if you're reading this, you sound like a complete fucking tool. His Facebook post indicates he believes in the magical power of runes. So retarded. Brad Holder's own words, he reveals he admits runes hold magical powers. That is so gay. Brad also posted a picture on Facebook depicting a scene eerily similar to that of the bodies when they were found. He intentionally inscribed a temporary tattoo on his hand in a pattern similar to the sticks and branches placed on Abigail Williams. And that's the funny thing. Even the detective that got retired admitted the sticks placed on Abigail Williams' body matched the tattoo inked on his hand just a few weeks after the girls were murdered. Now, once again, we're going to go back to this. Do we not remember this case under investigation for 5 years? Sure. But now, do you think that guy's cleared? Do you think that guy's 100%? Nope, he's innocent? There's a lot of questions that are unanswered there. But yeah, do we not remember this case is under investigation for 5 years before arresting someone? And it sounds like they were fucking around. It sounds like they were fucking around, man. I'm just saying. Sonic Family says they could have pinned this on any of these trash bags, so let's be realistic. Well, then why do they do it to Richard Allen? Because this stuff isn't matching. I mean, all the police did was basically delete and destroy evidence by messing up their DVRs. So, and they said Holder then painted and posted a picture of Odin's sacrifice in which the Norse god Odin is hanging upside down and one leg is bent in such a manner that his foot is resting against his calf. In the position of Odin's legs and Brad Holder's painting is almost exactly the position in which the killer placed Abby Williams' legs. Makes you think. So he believes in the power of magic and blood as it relates to magic. This is evidenced by his Facebook post as well as Amber Holder's testimony that Brad Holder intentionally cut his hand and allowed the blood to drip on his Odin altar. I mean, so ridiculous. Amber Holder testified that Brad took her hand and cut her hand to drip blood onto the altar. And the police testified the markings found on the tree, the bodies are transferred to the tree with Liberty German's blood. The marking on the tree appeared to be an upside down L. And the doctor said it resembles the rune Lagus. So she's testifying that the runes charged by blood carry additional importance, have magical powers, and that blood is the highest offering of the gods. I mean, the Norse pagan ritual videotaped by Brad Holder in Fort Wayne Clinton showed Pat Westfall using his hand to mark the tree in some fashion, similar to the Facebook post, which is marked human blood, which Brad Holder liked. Brad testified one of the times he met Abigail Williams took place in the home of third-party suspect Patrick Westfall. Now, Amber Holder, Brad Holder's ex-wife, testified that Brad Holder told her Patrick Westfall and his crew murdered the girls. Once again, are they clear? Because that's pretty convincing. Someone says they did it. Well, there you go. There you go. And Nicholas Storrow is seeing the rest of the scene. Ooh. Like I said, this is not Richard Allen. I don't think he did it. I don't know who did it, but it's probably one of the oldest. I don't know if he's being framed, but there's no reliable evidence, and they're just settling for him. I mean, it's not maliciousness; it's incompetence that's hurting Richard Allen right now. That he's being chased by. Oh, I knocked my seltzer can over. Oh, I got text messages. Oh, what happened here? Hold on, chat. Boop 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 boop. All right. All right, guys. Sorry, we're back now. So Richard Allen has the right to argue that Brad Holder was pointing the finger at Patrick Westfall to either insulate himself as a suspect by becoming Patrick Westfall, or that Patrick Westfall, who has no real alibi, killed those girls and Brad Holder knew it and wanted someone to know in the event that he was ever accused of the murders, or Patrick Westfall, acting in concert with Brad Holder, had the girls abducted while Holder was at work, awaiting Holder's arrival in Delphi later, where they killed the girls. These facts, along with it, that they were Norse paganists, and the belief law enforcement and the crime scene was filled with pagan elements, all show these guys could have done it. And it's a very low bar required to honor the right to present third-party evidence. And Amber Holder's testimony exhibits that they said they did it. She is Brad Holder's ex-wife, and Brad Holder confided that they had a falling out over something that happened in the woods near a river involving blood. That just sounds really gay. Something in the woods near a river involving blood. That just sounds like homosexual activity. I mean, really, that just sounds bad. That just sounds bad. All right, guys, hold on one more second here. We got to do another piano recital real quick. Hold on, guys. All right, guys, we're back. Sorry. Amber testifies that Brad confided to her that Patrick and his crew killed the girls because that Abigail Williams' mom was a race traitor. There we go. We got to throw in the white supremacist angle. A race traitor. According to what? Oh, well. A race traitor is a person who supports attitudes or positions that are against the interest or well-being of their own race. YourDictionary.com. I did include that. The doctor also testified individuals adhering to the white nationalist version of Odinism will kill others because of their belief someone's a race traitor. Amber testified that Brad Holder told her that Westfall wanted to move on from animal sacrifices to human sacrifices, and this is the real source of falling out between them. In his deposition, Holder denied making any of these statements. Brad Holder's denial of uttering those statements to Amber makes Holder's statements subject to impeachment. Brad Holder's alibi is in question because of the phone. Detective Glory Holman testified that Brad had an alibi as he left work at 2:45 p.m. and was 40 minutes away from the bridge. First Sergeant Chris Cecil of the Indiana State Police testified the phone ultimately found under Abby's body did not receive any SMS messages from 4:16 until 4:33 in the morning, nearly 12 hours. This suggests Liberty's cell phone was not connected to a tower at that time. Law enforcement's claim is that the phone had remained under her body from around 3:30 p.m. until it was found around noon on February 14th. However, cutting against that theory is the fact that a police report references the belief that the phone was either no longer in working condition or was out of the area. And they say, we know from the Detective Cecil the phone was in working condition because it connected at 4:33 in the morning. So therefore, the police report supports the fact the phone was out of the area for a period of time. So it's like, what happened? I mean, this is, if I don't know what more you need to not convict this guy. I mean, he should be released. This is just nonsense what they've done to him. Just absolute garbage. Absolute garbage. If there's such a solid case against Richard Allen, hold on, what are you saying here? If there's such a solid case against Richard Allen, why is the state so worried about the third-party defense? Because the state is always whiny about shit like that. They're always little girls. So, in further support, the phone was out of the area until from 5:44 p.m. until 4:33 in the morning. The phone in question did not connect to the tower in spite of law enforcement's claim. The phone had never moved from under her body from the 12-hour time frame. And nothing happened until suddenly it received 15 messages at 4:33 in the morning. It defies logic that all 15 individuals suddenly sent messages to the phone at 4:30 in the morning, when she had been missing for over 14 hours. When Liberty German's phone once again reconnected, Chris Cecil finally admitted during testimony that all those messages awaiting the phone finally matriculated into the phone at 4:33 in the morning. The simple explanation is that someone who was at the scene turned on the phone at 4:33, causing the phone to connect. Glory Holman testified that in law enforcement theories of the events, Richard Allen never returned to the crime scene after he left around 3:30, which is important. So therefore, who was there at 4:30 in the morning playing with the phone? Who could have been at the scene at 4:33 and to turn on the phone? Richard Allen's not accused of that. They don't believe he did that. So how does that work? Oh, Dolly, you're here. Good to see you, man. And hello as well. Excuse me. And they point out that if Abby and Liberty were killed around 4:33 in the morning, Brad Holder's alibi for 3:30 p.m. on the 13th is meaningless, as his alibi he was at workout anytime at 2 in the morning on February 14th. The only time he ever went to the gym at 2 in the morning. Yeah, that's not good. The phone issues are a major problem for the prosecutor's contention that Richard Allen acted alone. And these provide certain minimum nexus along with evidence detailed, required to clear the hurdle that allows third-party suspects evidence at trial. Shouldn't be allowed. But they're pointing it out. Yes, it should. Another guy, Patrick Westfall. He's connected. Patrick Westfall was at home on February 13th with his son back in 2017. There is no proof of Westfall's whereabouts on February 13th other than a statement. To date, law enforcement has provided no concrete evidence of his whereabouts. You know, that Holder and Westfall knew each other from an army deployment in Afghanistan. So they've already got that tight group. They were members of a small kindred, which is a group of, oh my god, so gay. What do they call themselves? A coven or a cover with a Q. A group of people who believe in Asatru and who gather to hold meetings and worship the gods. Westfall is a priest or holy man in the religion and hosted kindreds at his home in Delphi on Sundays. God, this is so gay. These guys are so gay. Holder and Westfall attended a pagan ritual videotaped by Brad Holder at Fort Wayne, which is entered in evidence. Near the end of the video, Patrick Westfall appears to be marking a tree with his hand. And then Cicero testifies that a tree at the crime scene was marked with the blood of Liberty German. Now, the doctor testified the mark was in the form of a rune. Ow. Major Cicero admitted whoever sliced Liberty German's throat could have had the blood on her hands. The forensic pathologist who conducted the autopsy admitted upon slicing her neck the amount of blood and the force of that blood upon slicing it would have been very powerful, squirting as far as 4 to 6 feet, no problem. Therefore, the jury could conclude the slicing upon her neck and the blood forcibly covered the killer's hand, who then used that blood to mark the tree. Westfall had told police he'd sacrificed a chicken by cutting off its head. Well, yeah, you sacrifice it for dinner. I don't really see how that's impressive. Kitty says, yes, gay sex in the woods. Understood. Yes, that's pretty much what these guys were doing. It is being gay and, yeah. Oh. So the doctor testified that sacrifices are almost always carried out by slitting the throat of the animal or person being sacrificed, and furthermore, practitioners of the religions often begin with animal sacrifices. Yeah, so it's easier to control. Amber testified that Brad had stated Patrick Westfall wanted to elevate from animal sacrifice to human. Further, Patrick Westfall acknowledged that Asatru worship takes place in a clearing in a forest. And that's consistent with the testimony that rituals will open in spaces in the forest. Both of these guys did something. Something happened, and we don't know what it is. Because the police didn't do their jobs. And that's the sad part. Because of that, Richard Allen's been in prison for 2 years. They get to Elvis Fields. He lives in Rushville, Indiana, and is a suspect. Elvis Fields knows of Brad Holder because he admitted to knowing him. Kevin Murphy testified Brad Holder could be linked to Elvis Fields through Facebook post. And Elvis' Facebook post mimicked Brad Holder's. So, Elvis Fields testified in his deposition that Brad Holder frequently mimicked his Facebook post when he posted pictures of knives, brass knuckles, and sticks in the woods and other items. It's a logical conclusion that Brad Holder knew Elvis's some manner if he was mimicking Elvis's post. Yeah. It would be exceedingly rare for a stranger to follow someone's post and even rare to mimic them, especially when both suspects in the murders were Abigail Williams and Liberty German. So they point out here that this is where Todd Click comes in. The former police chief testified that Elvis Fields was a suspect, and he was interviewed several times by law enforcement. After one such interview, they collected a buccal swab from his cheek. That's where they just go in and swab your cheeks. And they said after Elvis got out of the car, he returned and asked the detective if his spit was found on one of the girls, but he could explain it away, would he still be in trouble? That's an interesting thing to say. That's a very interesting thing to say. That's something Nick Rekieta would bring up. Well, if you do find DNA on there, can I explain it away at a later date? Like, buddy, come on. Come on. Yes, the coven. Cover. Yes, J-Bet's like saying, wait, what? Yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem. So, he denies ever being in Delphi. If he spat on one of the girls, this places him in Delphi at around the time of the murders. Elvis's statement is admissible because of the then existing and emotional physical condition. And there's ways they could have got that around there. But they said under this rule, statement of the declarant's then self-existing state of mind, such as motive, design, intent, or plan, or emotional, sleepy, sensory, or physical condition, is admissible as an exception to the hearsay rule. It's just. But yes, it's allowing the mental feeling, pain, or bodily health. It's inadmissible as an exception to the hearsay rule because Elvis's statement is clearly indicative of a guilty state of mind, and it's true. Additionally, Elvis denies making the statement to Detective Murphy. I mean, it's yeah. It's expected Elvis would continue to deny asking the question at trial, thus making it proper impeachment evidence. So there you go, chat. This is just getting better and better and better. Yes. So what if I spit on him? Just wait till like Nick comes out. Your Honor, Your Honor. I didn't spit on the Baldo leaked on him. It's okay, Your Honor. Oh. All right, guys. Give me one more second. I will be right back. Hey, chat. So here we are. Brittany says, so what if I spit on him? I can explain. Yeah. And guys, when you understand with impeachment evidence, they're going to ask him that. And the way it would work is, did you tell the detective after they did a buccal swab about what if I spat on them? If my spit was there. Oh my God, it rained again. Jeez. It keeps raining. It's like my time in Nam. And you're allowed to then proceed and ask them about making an impeachment evidence because at that point you have proof that they did do that. And if he says no, well, then you can bring in that detective. Because here's the deal. If he says, yes, I did say that. And if you find my spin on them and what can I do to get out of trouble? If he says yes to that, you're like, that's kind of one of those moments where I would go to the jury and go, but they're going to lie. They're going to lie. He's not going to say it. So, Luke Pearson says, if there's coke in the girl's hair, I can explain. Oh, you're funny. Dr. Coffin says, what if I spit cocaine on them? Guys are being naughty. Naughty, 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 naughty. Yes, the myopia of wearing the baldo. It's buccal. Buckle. 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 Buckle my shoe. Says like, Yana, me and my boyfriend were trying to do a cheek swab in the woods, and this girl laughed at us and called me a queer, so I spat on her. Yes. But there's a lot of stuff they can use here, guys. Like, it's never this good, and they've got really good evidence they can use going forward. And they say, finally, Elvis Field's question, Detective Murphy, was precisely that, a question. And this is a very good point, and I've had to make this argument before. Hearsay is an out-of-court statement being offered to prove the truth of the matter asserted. Okay? Hearsay is a statement. Hearsay is a statement, and we're going to get, it's hearsay is a statement that is not made by the declarant while testifying at the trial or hearing. It is offered to prove the truth of the matter asserted. So it's an out-of-court statement offered to prove the truth of the matter asserted. And they say a statement is a person's oral assertion, written assertion, or nonverbal conduct the person intended it as an assertion. The hearsay rule does not bar commands, requests, or questions. And that's true. And there's a case that I've heard of here in Ohio where the police were raiding a house, and the guy was a drug dealer. And when the police were there investigating, the little girl walked up into the house, was there and said, "Hey, what are you guys doing in my daddy's office?" And they looked around and they started searching harder, and they found his drug ledger and things like that. Now, they tried to suppress the girl's statement, but the court agreed that a hearsay is a statement. A question, by definition, is not a statement. So therefore, questions are not statements, so the question was allowed in. You don't even have to worry about excited. Now, you could use excited utterance, presence and suppression, effect on the hearer, other ways to get it in. But still, it's easier. You know what the easier way to get around hearsay? Say, it's not hearsay. Bam! It's not hearsay. And if it's not hearsay, well, you're on easy street because now they can't attack it. They might try other things, though. So they have a guy named Rod Abrams. He's a friend of Elvis Field's. In his statement to police, Rod testified. Rod Abrams testified, or he stated that at the time of the murders, Ned Smith drove a white pickup truck, and that sometimes Elvis drove a white pickup truck. Tina Garrison saw a white truck parked at the old CPS building where Richard Allen had parked. It's weird. There's old government buildings nearby. They say that they saw the truck approximately 4:20 on the day of the murders. A little. Tina Garrison's report was tendered near the end of the day as an exhibit on August 1st. Given that both Fields and his friend Ned Smith drove white trucks, this places them in Delphi near the scene of the murders on February 13th. Detective Murphy also testified in the analysis of Elvis's cell phone records, established he used his phone often throughout a typical day. So, Detective Murphy testified that on October 13th, Elvis did not use his phone between roughly 10:30 a.m. and 7:30 p.m. Now, all the above is documented in Todd Click's and Kevin Murphy's reports. The statements made in a police report are not hearsay when offered to show a simple fact. The statements were made rather than the truth of the matter asserted. And that's the other way you can get around hearsay, chat. And they point out that finally, the fact that Elvis' friends Rod Abrams and Ned Smith cannot keep their stories straight concerning the whereabouts of Elvis is also important. Abrams told different stories as to his whereabouts with Elvis on the 13th. In one story, Abrams claimed he and Elvis Fields and Ned Smith were all in a Muncie hospital waiting for a friend on February 13th. In the interview in 2018, Abrams admitted to having his phone with them while in Muncie. However, when pressed whether his phone's pings would verify he was in Muncie, Abrams testified the hospital equipment would likely block his phone's location. Pussy. Just admit you lied. Just admit you lied, pussy. During his deposition, Rod Abrams testified he did not believe he owned a phone in 2017, which is a different story than he told a few years earlier. That's just buying a phone. That just seems weird. Unknown Hero says the defense is... Yes, I said excited utterance. Yes. Luke says pull up the doc. Oh, sorry. I got the doc up, guys. I got the doc up. Sorry. Emily Baker says she's... Sonic saying Emily Baker's pretty unbiased. I say Emily Baker's pretty fair about things, but she also admits she's spent her career as a prosecutor, so she sees things through that lens. I've spent most of my career as a defense attorney, so I see stuff through that lens. But as long as you acknowledge what you're looking at it through, it's never a problem. I enjoy Emily's not her testimony, but I enjoy Emily's content. I think she's very good on topics, and I like listening to her. So, no, you can listen to multiple people and get multiple sides of things. Yeah, it's no fun not to see the doc. You can see the doc now. I brought it up, guys. Anyways, saying anyone is unbiased is pretty stupid. Oh, I agree. Hearsay is an assertion, yes. But hearsay is you're recounting an out-of-court statement. So while Abrams and Smith claim that Elvis is with them on February 13th, Elvis denies that he ever even left Rushville that day. Yet again, Murphy testified that Elvis's Fields phone records show that the man who constantly uses his phone any given day, for some reason, did not use his phone roughly between 10:30 and 7:30. That's a big deal. Remember, chat, every other time we have a case, if you don't use your phone, you're the murderer, you're the bad guy, you're doing something wrong. If you do something different with your phone, you're guilty. But this is different. Apparently. Defense attorneys think that every single person is either charged, not guilty, or framed. Not true at all. There's a couple people I think are definitely not. I don't believe that most of the time. I think that the state usually does catch people who are likely the person who committed the crimes. I think that's very true. Now, do I think the state has convicted people on pretty shitty evidence they shouldn't have been able to get away with? Yes. But do I think most of the time they do have the right person? For the most part, yeah. I mean, like, just the laws of averages and the odds of things are pretty much true. They generally get the right person. It's just whether or not they can prove it. So, by Google Maps, it's roughly a 2-hour drive from Delphi to Rushville, giving Elvis plenty of time to leave his home in Rushville, drive, or be driven in a white pickup truck to Delphi to participate in the murders and then return to Rushville. The problem is there's no phone activity. And they point out, furthermore, while a guy named Johnny Messer admits to knowing Elvis Fields, Rod Abrams, and Ned Smith, that is not the story Elvis Fields and Rod Abrams told the police. Both Elvis and Rod deny knowing Johnny Messer. This shows that the parties can't keep their stories straight on something basic. And these discrepancies can be viewed by a jury as guilty parties trying to hide. And that's the thing. Are they guilty or are they just morons? We don't know, but that's up to the jury to decide. That's the thing here. Like, are they guilty people or stupid people? Either option's not good or comforting. So, the jury should hear concerning third-party suspects combined with Elvis's clear connection with Brad Holder, and they should go from there. Oh, it's only 8:45 to 9:45. I'm like, why is the sky like still kind of light out? But, Okay, so now we get to Johnny Messer. He's a former Rushville, Indiana resident and was also a suspect as part of the Logansport Delphi crew of Brad Holder and Patrick Westphal. There are pictures on social media of Brad Holder, Patrick Westphal, and Johnny Messer together at an Odinist gathering, I'm sure, with cocks in hand. That photo was admitted to evidence, and both Kevin Murphy and Todd Click testified as a connection between Brad Holder, Patrick Westphal, and Johnny Messer. Detective Murphy and Todd Click testified that Holder, Westphal, and Messer were all associated with the Vinlander Social Club. That just sounds so gay. A club for Europeans. Oh, I'm sure these guys have corrupted mutt blood. I doubt they have pure white blood. I'm sure if you were to get them DNA tested, they'd find the mud peoples in there, and you can't be white. I'm sure they would be unclean. It's a problem with a lot of these guys. It's like, I bet they find they're like 2% Ashkenazi Jew. That would make my fucking day for some of these retards. Johnny Messer was a probate with the Vinlanders. He was a probie. He was a probationary member. Being a probation, it's like, I'm sorry I ruined your white power party. I'm so sorry about ruining it. Detective Murphy and Todd Click testify the Vinlanders engaged in Asatu-based principles worship gods such as Odin and Thor and were Odinists. Johnny Messer confirmed most of the members of Vinlanders were into Odinism. Patrick Westphal and Johnny Messer traveled to Minnesota together for a Vinlander event. They went to go suck wiener up in Minnesota, huh? I wonder if they did Baldos up there. So Johnny Messer's uncle is Billy Messer. Elvis previously lived with Johnny Messer's uncle. Huh, that's interesting. However, one of the most important aspects is Johnny Messer's evidence is his role as a recruit with the Vinlanders. According to the police chief Todd Click, Messer denied recruiting members for the Vinlanders. However, Click also testified that he had multiple interviews. He interviewed multiple men who admitted Messer had recruited them to join the Vinlanders. Messer's denial of being a recruiter for the Vinlanders juxtaposed against Click's investigation, revealing that he was in fact actually trying to recruit members, would indicate he has something to hide. What could that be? The obvious answer would be Messer was the recruiter that hooked Elvis Fields up with Brad Holder. After all, Messer knew that both Holder and Fields, although Fields denied knowing Messer. What am I? Hold on here. What? All right, chat. Somebody just. There we go. The fact that Messer's former girlfriend, Taylor Hornaday, that's actually kind of a badass name. Hornaday, told Murphy that around Valentine's Day, Messer was up there visiting his Vinlander friends, Westfall and Holder, and that a red substance she believed was blood was found on the car he drove up there. And that provides additional connectivity between all the parties and the murderers that Richard Allen has a right to present to the jury. But Odin got killed by his own wolf. I don't know. Sonic Family Gaming says, I'm having a hard time believing the police would target this guy over the pedophiles and other creeps. Wouldn't it be easier for them? I don't know. But here's the problem, Sonic. The police have never said any of this. The police have never come into a hearing and said none of this is. They have never. The defense has never been accused of making this shit up. They agree it's all true. They're just like, we think Richard Allen's the bad guy. Why? Because we think so. They've never contested anything the defense has put up. So that's what makes it very weird. That's what makes it very weird. Now, at the end of the day, could Richard Allen still theoretically have done all this? Okay, maybe. But then why do we have all these issues? And why do the police, like when they figured out these were runes, they consulted with they consulted with a professor at Purdue. And later on, they hid that fact from the defense till the defense figured it out. And then when they asked the police officers, which professor did you talk to? They went, I don't know. I didn't write it down. Oops. I mean, at some point, the chronic incompetency is maliciousness on its own. Unhung Hero for member 6 months says this is the gayest gay ops ever. Yes. Yes, it's true. Chaos says Unhung isn't going to come. Well, that's his problem. I'm worried about him in that regard. All right. And then Keegan Kline and Jerry Anthony Kline. Keegan Kline is the son of Jerry Kline. He was 22 in February, and he and Jerry Kline resided in Peru, Indiana. And then Detective David Vito testified that Keegan Kline was communicating with Liberty German using a fake Snapchat under the name of Anthony Schatz in the days leading up to the 13th. The contents of the messages are unknown because Snapchat fucking removes everything. He further testified that Keegan Kline admitted to driving to Delphi with his father on the 13th and that Kline waited the vehicle while his dad went into the woods in the area where the girls were and their bodies were found. Detective Vito testified that Keegan Kline stated that when his dad returned to the vehicle, he had blood on him. A guy named Roland Purdy testified that Keegan Kline admitted they discarded a knife in a river when they were driving home. All this creates an inference that the Klines were there. In addition, although if you guys read, it's funny because it's like we're just more and more people. We're just like just adding people to this pile that were there or could have been around it. And they talk about Ron Logan. The bodies were located on the property of Ron Logan. Ron Logan lied to the police about his whereabouts on February 13th. I didn't know that part. Ron Logan's physical build is consistent with that of the individual in the photo captured by Liberty's iPhone. And his voice is consistent with that voice on the audio clips. You know, that's yeah. It's a bit of an issue here. And they say, much like in the facts at Allen, and that's State v. Allen they're talking about, not this Richard Allen. The evidence that third parties killed the girls in this matter is exculpatory, unique, and critical to the defense. The crime scene included many findings that killers practiced asatru, and it was a ritualistic crime scene. Oh. Anyways, to be exculpatory, the evidence must clear or tend to clear Mr. Allen of alleged fault or guilt. And Tibbs, are they doing Florida v. Tibbs? Oh, Tibbs v. State, because I'm about to say Tibbs v. Florida doesn't yet. Florida v. Tibbs is not the right thing. There's a Tibbs v. Indiana, State v. Tibbs. Simply put, if someone else committed the crimes, Richard Allen did not. That's not necessarily clear. He may have helped other people, but yes, I believe the idea I didn't do it completely. Richard Allen has zero ties to us Asatru or Odinism or the Vinlander Social Club, unlike these other fucking losers. The above evidence is exculpatory, unique, and critical to his defense. Yes, it is. It should be allowed. The above evidence the state wants to hide from the fact finder is admissible for two reasons. It demonstrates a lack of investigation and failures of the investigation, and the fact of a distinct possibility, if not high probability, that other people, other than Richard Allen, killed the girls. Richard Allen has a right to introduce evidence of motive as it is always relevant. Evidence of motive is always relevant in a criminal prosecution. But remember, guys, you don't have to show motive as an element of proof when you're the state, typically, as long as it's not part of the case. So, like a first degree murder, yeah, you would, but generally speaking, you don't have to prove motive if you're the prosecution. In the context of third party motive evidence, an accused must show some connection between the third party and the crime. Well, in this case, there's no proof of any connection of Mr. Allen to Abigail Williams or Liberty German, nor have they identified any motive as to why Allen would kill them. There's absolutely no evidence as to Allen's motive to commit the crime. What does exist, however, is motive on the part of Patrick Westfall, Brad Holder, and others to kill Abby and Libby. Brad knew Abby as his son was dating her at the time of the murders, and he had supervised them on at least 2 dates. Patrick participated in animal sacrifices, and the sacrifices are carried out in order to provide the offender with power through runes, blood and binding runes. All of these were present at the location where the bodies were found. This proves the motive that Brad Holder and Patrick Westfall tried to murder the girls and did murder them and chop them up. And we get to the end, they say, wherefore, for the reasons above, Richard Allen requests the court deny the motion limine. So that's all of it there, and it's all done. Now here, this is interesting. They do it on the back page like this, but this is the table of authorities. So the table of authorities you normally do like in an appellate brief. You list out, and you start out with like the most important thing, the Constitution, state or federal, and you list them out. Then you do cases in alphabetical order, all the way down. So then you get to the rules, the Indiana Rules of Evidence. And then there's some treatises. Amger is a good one, especially in law school. You're going to read Amger. Then there are other authorities. Cutler, B. Cutler and Professor Keith Finley, Conviction on the Innocents, and this is an ABA press release. So there we go. I mean, Kitty says, how are none of these people in jail? Because the police don't want to put them in jail. They've already got their bad man in jail. That's why they don't care. That's why they don't care. That's a shame. It's good to see you, by the way. It's like, whoa, I'm behind, but do we already know about the Keegan Kline connection? Yes, we did. But now it's been fully fleshed out, and now he's been convicted. It's really all out there now for everybody to see. So hopefully he can enjoy all the cheese pizza. Sorry about that, chat. I actually removed the wrong thing there. They got me. Yes, the Odinists got me. Eric Kutches, I don't think Reagan Klein or Keegan Klein did it though. Oh well. It doesn't matter. It's just were there other people who could have been. So let me see here what else we got question wise. I'm on here. It says, "Good things come to an end. Time for a new bit." Fair enough. Fair enough. Jerry says the myopia of wearing the baldo. Kay says, "Isn't it funny how most of the same people the state wants prohibited from being mentioned are the same people they lost interviews and failed to investigate in the first place? Just another coincidence." Oh, I know. I know. That's how it goes. That's how it goes. Just garbage like that. So nothing you can do about it. Nothing you can do about it. Luke Pearson says, "I just marked for a math competition of fifth graders. Of fourth and fifth graders. How's the Alanussy tickling going? Good. I didn't realize you meant fourth and fifth graders. Like, because I was like, 4/5 of a student. Geez, that's a little bit better than America about, treating people with respect. So that is what's going to happen there. And then let's see what else do you guys have question wise. Patty says, "Does someone have a connection chart to all these people?" I don't know. I don't know if they do. It would be a little helpful. So, Freya. What? Who's first, Freya? What? I just had a thunder boom and Sean disappeared. Well, yes. All right, chat. So yeah, this is how crazy your hair when you wake up. It's kind of a mess, but like today I didn't really do anything to it, so it's just been everywhere. And then where are we at the things? Well, that's all we have here, but there is one last interesting thing from Detective Glory Holman. So we can cover this real quick. We need a Charlie chart. All right. Robert Gavay is a spotlight lawyer. Well, I'll talk to him. I need to talk about him putting together a mind map or whatever he calls that thing. Now, this is from Detective Glory Holman. He filed this on the 13th. And he basically says, "I'm an honorable police officer and I've been doing it forever and I'm a heckin' good boy." So he says, "After graduating Indiana State Police Academy, I was assigned to the Lafayette Division in June. I've been with the investigations for several years. In 2015, I was a detective in 2006. In 2015, I was promoted to sergeant of investigations. In 2016, I was promoted to first sergeant in the district investigative commander." And he said, "I review and manage all criminal investigations in the district. I responded to the investigation and continue to assist with and consist with the management of the investigation." Why did it do that? Oh well, I was trying to fuck with it and it just like once I go woof. Is the judge's name Seagull? No. Francis C. Gull. So yeah. So he says, it's my professional opinion that the probable cause affidavit should remain confidential. There are many reasons. One is the investigation is ongoing and fluid. How? Didn't you find him? Richard Allen's your man. How could it be more ongoing? How more fluid can it be, Glory Holman? I mean, I get there's fluid in the glory holes, but I thought we were done. We got our man, didn't we? New information comes in daily. Yeah, you have a fucking problem turning it over. All this information needs to be protected. Does it really? By keeping the probable cause confidential, this will let individuals know they are protected and can share free without worry of retaliation. By not releasing the information, it will protect the integrity of the investigation, which you have destroyed, Detective Holman, and everyone involved, including Mr. Allen and his family. How? How is this going to protect him if it's exculpatory? Additionally, confidentiality will help ensure witnesses are not harassed by the media and social media. Since it's a nationally known investigation, interest in this is widespread. Many well-meaning people have numerous questions about the investigation, like your fucking shitbaggery. Due to the many questions these well-meaning people have had in the past, many false accusations and information have been put out in the public, which has caused issues for innocent people. Which innocent people, Detective Holman? Which ones? Which ones are involved in this? Which ones? Which ones? Does this mean the ones you were screaming? Does this include the innocent man you were screaming and yelling at and you didn't Mirandize properly? Oh, wait, that's Richard Allen. That doesn't count. The social media outlets have posted side-by-side photos of innocent people who have adversely affected their lives. Yeah, like getting stuck in prison for 2 fucking years. I'm concerned they'll do the same to our witnesses. Oh, well. Mr. Allen and their families. You're worried about Mr. Allen. You put him in prison. This man's been stuck in jail for 2 years. He was eating his own shit, about to hang himself. And you're worried you're going to cause harm to him? This could be a heavy money burden on them to be interrogated by so many news media bloggers, social media groups, and the general public. I don't know. I think Richard Allen is fucking surviving well enough on his own right now. I think he's fucking hanging in there. Yeah. It's like the 70 days of interviews they deleted and all the shit they won't turn over, all the shit they've been hiding, lying about the fucking professors. Yeah. Oh, no, there's a lot of integrity here. You fucking cocksucker. Really. Glory Holman, you go and eat fucking men's dicks. I'm saying that right now. I hope you find out about this. And I hope you get angry about it in between cocks smacking your face. Hi, Jay. Yeah. Yes. Yes, you don't decide who's innocent and guilty, you fuck. Yes. I agree. I agree. Criminality is everything on this case in a big Prezi file. Oh, cool. I'll have to look for that. I'll have to reach out to her. A blogger, I've been called out. Yes. It's because he fucking knows. He's scared. You smell that? I could smell his pussy from here, all the way over in Cleveland. The physical safety of others is important as all. We have a duty to protect everyone involved in the viability of the investigation. Do you really? If we do not protect the witnesses, other witnesses may have a problem deciding if they choose to cooperate. This could harm the nature of an ongoing investigation. We don't want to impede the flow of information that comes into the safety of others. We can protect the investigation, witnesses, and suspect family. The suspect's family. The only way Richard Allen's going to be safe is getting the fuck out of town. That's the only way he's safe. Yes, literally one media call and they lose their shit about media involvement. Yes. It's because they're little bitches. I can see it now. Detective Holman's like, oh my God, the paper called. It's over now, chat. Just fucking disgusting right now. So. Oh, there was a big earthquake in Russia. Went from a tsunami to Japan. Yes, his wife had to sell their house and move and also quit her job. Yes. Yeah, I think the Allens are the only ones who suffered here at this point. So fuck him. Fuck Detective Holman. What a piece of shit. What a reprehensible piece of shit. Mm. Yeah, the rant's incoming. There you go. Stop yelling at me. I'll yell at whoever I want. But that is, guys, is Richard Allen going to get a fair shake here? We can't even fucking watch the trial. Judge Gold's like, no, you can't come in and watch. Why can't we watch? Because I said so. I mean, what the hell are we? How the hell is he going to have a fair shake now? No. I mean, it's fucking pathetic. It's fucking pathetic. So, really, did Richard Allen get some good things happen to him lately? Yes. But in reality, most everything else has been bad. Most everything else has been bad. So, it all depends on how you look at it. But I think Richard Allen, yeah, he won a couple like little small things, but in the meantime, this big mountain of shit landed on him when she denied everything else. John Coleman says, "Am I still allowed to suck cock, Sean? I'm not a nudist." Yes, you can. Nima says, "How's Nick going to get a fair trial without cameras?" I don't know, but Nick said he wants to tell his story, and I want to hear it, but he won't let us hear it. So, yeah, okay. Then there's a question that was asked earlier. I need to answer this. Young is saying, "You really said that you as an attorney is not what your parents brag about. What does the bragged about child do?" I don't want to say because that'll kind of skyline him. I don't want to reveal his power level. But I'm far like well, my other my two siblings do a lot, and compared to what I do, it's far more I think something worth bragging about than what I do. So my mom's gonna be like, "Oh, we love our son. He's an attorney and he screams the N word on camera on YouTube all the time, and people give him money to do it. It's so cute to watch." And she'll be like, "Our other son, oh, he does great things, and our daughter, she does a lot of great things too." Like, I don't want to power level them, but yes, they have a lot going for them overall, and a lot better. Do I have humility? No, I just admit I'm the dumb. Like, it's not humility; it's just embracing reality. Yeah. No cameras for the Ricada trial. Yep, Nick chickened out. Well, the courts are not allowing it, but remember the Derek Chauvin case happened. Like, courts can ignore the rules, but Nick was begging the court to follow the rules because he's a scared little bit. So I'm sorry, that's a hilarious 10-second what my kid does. Well, that's basically what happens. Yes, and then there's yes, all the kids do great, and then there's Sean. So Chauvin didn't broadcast the omnibus. I'm pretty sure they broadcasted everything with Chauvin. If they didn't, I'll retract that statement, but I'm pretty sure they did everything. Sean tries. Pretty much. That's what my mom would say. He tries real hard. So oh, Jay says I don't underestimate you. I don't underestimate what I do. But I just at the end of the day, if you were to if describing what my siblings do, you'd be like, okay, you'd understand what I'm trying to say. Yes, I mean well. I try real hard. All right, guys. So that is it for tonight with this. Oh, Sleazy, how you doing? You just got here. I am leaving. That's what we're doing. Oh, so guys, that is it for tonight. Thank you all for being here. 9:13. I'm gonna see. We might be able to get to Robert Tellis tonight. If not, we're gonna start working on him tomorrow. Not during the day. I have to go do some things in the morning. but I think we'll be free after that. Let me see here. Yep. I got to be on the road, so still hitting that like though, Sean. I tried. Work called. It's all good, man. And hey, at some point, I need to talk to you about setting up OBS. I'm going to try it. Ariel says we're going to talk about Ashley Benfield. Yes, we're going to talk about that tomorrow. We should have time to talk about that tomorrow night. For Ashley Benfield and go from there. Daniel goes, ooh, woo. Yes. Ew, woo. Ew, woo. Ew, woo. All right, guys. So that is it. And guys, if you were new here, and I know some of you are, my name's Sean Martin. I'm an attorney in the Cleveland area. I mainly do criminal defense stuff, but we kind of do like a little bit of everything. And yeah, this is our channel here. So we do a weekly show every Thursday night, and then we do, shows during the week. And this week, we're going to try to catch up on the Robert Tellis trial. He's accused of murdering a reporter out in Las Vegas who was uncovering the corruption he was engaging in. So it'll be very interesting. In the meantime, chat, as always, just because you did it does not mean you're guilty. And Richard Allen is 100% not guilty. So, chat, take care, and good night, everyone. Enjoy yourself, and get ready to have a case of the Mondays.
Weapons, blacksmithing, and models of planes, esoteric works, and even some trains. Much merriment had while drinking White Claws, tips on hunting, and even talking the law. Whatever you do, just don't talk to cops, even when they nab you on illegal stops. Just 'cause you did it doesn't mean you're guilty, but please talk to a local attorney. Was that the fat guy Rick Hayden yelled at? Why, yes it was.